Hello, friends. I want to tell you a quick story about flowers that will help you with your butterfly work this week. So, here it is. Did you know that when you see a flower out on a plant, that flower is actually calling out? Have you ever heard a flower calling out? Have you ever heard a flower's voice? I haven't. That's because instead of using sound to communicate, they call out using their shape, their scent, their patterns, and their colors. And who are they calling out to? Clearly not us, because we can't hear them. And we think they're very beautiful. Sometimes we cut them and bring them into our houses, but I don't think that's why the flowers are calling out. Why are they calling out? And who are they calling to? Well, they are calling to a whole bunch of different creatures who are known as pollinators. The pollinators are the creatures that will come to the flower. The flower attracts it, attracts that insect, that bee, that butterfly, that hummingbird. It attracts it with its scent, with its color, with its pattern. And that bee or butterfly or insect gets drawn in and comes in. And you know what it's hearing from the flower? The flower's saying this: hey, come here. I got a really good treat for you, something super sweet. Come try it. So the insect or the bee or the butterfly or the moth or the hummingbird is curious. They love sweet things, like children. They love sweet things. So they go deep, deep, deep down inside the flower, down in there. And down in the very bottom, it's true. There was a treat, a simple drop of nectar. And nectar is like ice cream to hummingbirds and insects and bees. They love it. And so now they're all excited. They go over to other flowers looking for more nectar, and they climb down in and get more nectar. But little do the pollinators know that the flowers aren't just being generous with their nectar, they're actually attracting the pollinators in to do a very important job. When the insect or the bee or the butterfly or the hummingbird climbs down inside the flower to get the nectar, it gets an unexpected little treat. Often, if the flower's ready, there will be little grains of pollen and they will brush off onto the pollinator. So that when the pollinator flies to another flower, some of those granules might brush off and drop into the new flower. And maybe this new flower will give pollen. And the pollen gets spread from flower to flower to flower. And why is that important? Why does the flower want that? Because it's the spreading of the pollen that allows the flower to reproduce, make more flowers, sometimes fruit and vegetables. And the pollinators have no idea they're doing this, but they're so happy to get that nectar, they just go along and do it. All day long, pollinators are very busy. But it's great because it's sort of a win-win situation, right? Some pollinators have adapted to really be efficient at getting the nectar. And some flowers have adapted really well to be efficient at giving away the pollen. So some examples I can think of creatures that are really well adapted to getting nectar are the sword-billed hummingbird. Have you ever seen them? They have the really long beaks, and they could go deep, deep, deep down into flowers where other insects can't get. Bees, if you've ever looked at them closely, they're hairy. And what that means is the pollen gets caught in their hairs really easily. And butterflies, as you've learned by now, have a proboscis. That long proboscis is really well suited for getting nectar out of flowers. So as we learn more about flowers, we'll find out about some of the adaptations flowers have to attract the insects and the hummingbirds and the bees and the butterflies. But I myself would like to attract some pollinators, so I'm going to plant some of these flowers in my garden this week. I hope you can do something like that too. All right, I hope you enjoyed the story of the flowers, and I hope it helps with your butterfly work this week. Enjoy.